Hello, everyone. Today we re-diving into a game-changing technique called chunking that can significantly speed up your path to English fluency. This isn't just another learning hack. It's a powerful tool that native speakers use effortlessly. And once you understand and practice it, you'll find your fluency improving dramatically. Imagine being able to speak and think in English fluently without getting stuck on grammar, rules, or word order. That's the power of chunking. So, if you're ready to take your English skills to the next level, let's dive in. Okay, now let me ask you something. Have you ever been in the middle of speaking in English and suddenly you forget what you want to say? Your mind goes blank and you feel that sinking feeling of not knowing the right words or phrases to use. We've all been there. It happens to even the most seasoned English speakers. But here's where chunking comes to the rescue. Have you ever noticed how native speakers can talk smoothly and naturally in English? They don't stumble with words or hesitate in the middle of a sentence. It seems effortless. But have you ever thought about how they manage to do that? What's their secret to sounding so fluent and confident? Well, one of their most powerful tools is something called chunking. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is chunking, and how can it help me improve my English? Let's break it down. Chunking simply means grouping words together in a way that makes sense. For example, instead of saying, "I am going to the store," which is grammatically correct, native speakers often chunk it down to, "I'm going to the store." Notice how they've combined two separate words, "I am," into a single chunk, "I'm." That small change makes the phrase sound much more natural and conversational. Here's another example. Instead of saying, "It is raining heavily today," they might say, "It's pouring outside." Here, they've taken several words and condensed them into a colorful chunk that adds a touch of imagery to your speech. Now, you might be thinking, that's great, but how is this going to help me become fluent in English? Let's dive into the benefits of chunking. Chunking can significantly boost your fluency because it allows you to learn and use phrases in context rather than focusing on individual words. You might be thinking, learning words is important, right? Of course it is. But when you focus solely on words, you tend to speak in a very mechanical way that sounds unnatural. Take a look at this common greeting. Most people would say, "Hi, how are you doing today?" Native speakers typically chunk it down to a much friendlier, "Hey, how's it going?" Not only does this sound more natural, but it also shows that you understand the nuances of the language. The true essence of learning a language lies in understanding and using phrases in context, and that's where chunking shines. Another fantastic benefit of chunking is that it helps you remember phrases more easily. Think about it. If you try to memorize individual words, they can slip your mind when you need them the most. But if you learn phrases as chunks, they become easier to recall because they're linked together in a meaningful way. For example, instead of trying to memorize the word fancy, you could learn the chunk fancy meaning you hear. This way, remembering the entire phrase will help you recall the meaning of fancy automatically. It's like having a built-in memory aid that can help you speak more confidently and fluently. But wait, there's more. Chunking also adds color and style to your speech. Imagine a conversation with a friend. Instead of saying, "I have to go now because it is getting late," you could use a chunk like, "I gotta run. It's getting real late." In this example, you haven't changed the meaning, but you've definitely added some style to your speech. Using chunks that fit your personality and the situation you re-in can make your conversations more engaging and memorable. Now, let's move on to an essential question. How do I start using chunking in my own English conversations? Well, it's easier than you might think. The first step is to start listening. Pay attention to how native speakers use chunks in movies, TV shows, podcasts, or even in real-life conversations. Listen for those catchy phrases that native speakers use to express themselves effortlessly. Once you start listening actively, you'll begin to notice patterns and recurring phrases. These are potential chunks that you can start incorporating into your own conversations. Next, write them down. As you come across chunks that you like, jot them down along with a context in which they were used. This will help you understand the different ways chunks can be used in various situations. Remember to include any relevant details like the emotional tone or the context of the conversation. For example, if you hear someone say, "What's up?" during a casual conversation, write it down along with the understanding that it's a relaxed way of asking, "How are you?" Now, you've listened and written down chunks. It's time to practice. The best way to practice is to repeat the chunks out loud. This may feel a bit awkward at first, but don't worry. It's all part of the learning process. The more you repeat a chunk, the deeper into your subconscious mind it ingrains. Eventually, it will become a natural part of your speech. So do unshy away from practicing your chunks in front of the mirror or even while taking a walk in the park. Then integrate them into your conversations. This is where the real magic happens. Start using the chunks you've learned in your daily conversations. You don't have to use them excessively, but sprinkling in a few well-placed chunks can make a big difference in your fluency. Be mindful of the context and the emotion you want to convey. For example, if you're having a casual conversation with a friend, you might use a different set of chunks compared to a professional meeting. Finally, review regularly. It's crucial to review the chunks you've learned on a regular basis. Set aside time each day to go over a few new chunks and refresh your memory on the ones you've learned previously. This will ensure that the chunks you learn stick with you and become part of your natural speech patterns. You can use flashcards, online tools, or simply write them out to help with the review process. And here's an important tip. Focus on learning chunks that align with your interests and the situations you find yourself in most often. For instance, if you work in sales, it's helpful to learn chunks related to customer service and negotiations. Similarly, if you love traveling, learn chunks that can help you navigate airports and interact with locals in different places. By focusing on chunks that are relevant to your life, you'll find them easier to remember and use. As you continue to practice chunking, you'll notice a significant improvement in your fluency. You'll find yourself thinking in chunks, which means your mind has fully integrated them into your natural thought processes. This is the ultimate goal of chunking. When you can think in English chunks, you're truly fluent. In conclusion, chunking is much more than just a language technique. It's a key to unlocking your fluency in English. By understanding and practicing chunking, you can speak more naturally, confidently, and fluently. So if you're on your journey to English fluency, embrace chunking and watch your confidence soar. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that becoming fluent in English doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that requires patience, dedication, and consistent effort. But with the power of chunking on your side, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can progress. Don't be afraid to experiment with different chunks. Find the ones that suit your style and preferences and use them confidently in your conversations. The more you practice, the more natural and fluent you'll sound. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more language learning tips and strategies. And remember, fluency is within your reach. Embrace chunking and enjoy the journey to becoming a more confident and fluent English speaker. Thanks for joining me today. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video.